Hi guys, this is Cloudar bringing another audio commentary, and this is Game 4 of the MSL Group H. This is the losers match between Nada and Sangho, and I have to say both players deserve, unfortunately, on the play today to be here. Sangho is playing Protoss, starting up at the top right corner of the map, and Nada in the bottom left, red Terran. So just before I jump into this commentary, this is on Blue Storm, just before I jump into this commentary, I want to answer a couple of the questions. First of all, on the issue of me having seen the WODs beforehand, the answer to that is a resolute no. A long time back, when the SE2.org streams were still running, and this was months ago, I used to watch the matches live, but most of those matches I commented on them live and then later synced the WODs to the commentary. Since I've returned, I haven't actually seen. It's very rare. Only when I would mess up the recording, or for whatever reason the sound wouldn't get, the commentary wouldn't get recorded, and I'd have to redo a commentary. That is the only circumstance in which I would have seen a game before actually commenting on it. Most of the time, I'm commentating blind because I find that the best way to watch matches and to commentate on them as well. Which is also the reason why so many of my predictions turn out to go wrong. Anyway, so Sangho's planted his pylon out just outside his choke, and has now sent his probe down to scout. The second question, people have been asking me a little bit about my novel, so just to let you guys know, it's going well on that front. I've completed the first draft. It's come in at about 120,000 words, which equates to about 500 pages of whatever you see on your library shelves, I suppose, or the bookstore. And I've got a decent amount of work still to do before I can begin submitting it to publishers, but the work now is less intense, and so that is why I have the time to do a few more VODs as well. So Sangho just starting up his gateway. So I guess both these players, I said both these players deserve to be here. Nada really has no one to blame but himself. Ridiculous play in terms, and Sangho, oh my god, Sangho's put in a simulator down on Nada's refinery. So this is going to slow Nada down a little bit. Innovative play by Sangho. I'm not sure exactly what his plan is in order to benefit from that, but this is going to slow Nada down. It's vital for Terran to get that tech up and running, to get that push going as early as possible, and this is going to slow him down. Sangho cancelling the assimilator and restarting it again, so this is going to slow Nada down even further. Clever play by Sangho. The question is whether or not he can capitalize on it, and that was a good catch by the cameraman, I have to say, not on the white guy, but on the piece of delectable, and I'm sorry to be objectifying the, I'm sure, very bright young lady there, but delectable, I think, is the right word for her, to say the least. So Nada this time managed to get his refinery going. I don't think he's lost too much time on that. Sangho cancelling the assimilator to try and put it down a third time, and unable to do so. He's now looks like he's starting up a pylon next to his nexus. He's still not taken his own gas, so that's, I'm not sure what he's really gained. He's not really ahead of Nada, I would say, in terms of his economy or anything. He's invested resources in trying to slow Nada down and not really done much with it. Nada, interesting enough, has opted to build the academy. I guess he's worried, considering the fact that Sangho has put that was slowing down his assimilator tech. Nada might have been worried that a 2-gate push would have been coming from Sangho. Nada's SCV only now arriving in Sangho's base. His scout was delayed because he was forced to combat Sangho's assimilator push on his gas, and Sangho now just arriving with the Zealot and probe. I think Nada's got enough to cope with it here. The question is whether Sangho is going to scout that academy, and I think that's why Nada was putting up the academy. That probe, I'm not sure if that probe got within range of the academy. First person view would have been interesting there. The Zealot certainly is not going to see it, so that probe dying, I'm not sure if he saw the academy or not, but I think Nada was expecting a 2-gate Zealot rush because of that assimilator, and that's why he decided to get that academy up ASAP, to get a couple of firebats out to be able to cope with it, considering his tech was slowed. So he compensated by getting the academy up. Now Nada has scouted his opponent and seen that he doesn't really have much in his base. So Sangho continuing to pump Zealots out from the single gateway. It's not going to bother Nada too much. He's now building a second Rax, and Nada forced into this interesting strategy, and Nada just scouting around, and Sangho has put up, looks like Sangho has gone finally and put his building, put a Nexus down in his National Expo, and looks like that was the purpose of slowing Nada down. He's now taking his assimilator, is taking his gas as well, so it looks like the purpose of that was just to slow Nada down enough and keep the pressure off him. But I've got to say, Nada going with the 2-Rax build is probably going to be good, and Nada now putting a 3rd Rax up. I think that's interesting play by Nada. He's putting the 3rd Rax up. He's really committing himself to this bio push versus a Protoss player. Usually they aren't very effective. He's now got his medic out as well. He needs to get a couple of firebats, and once he's got stims, I think Sangho might be in a little bit of trouble here because he hasn't got a forge up. He's only got the single gateway. He's only now started his cybernetics core. He's not going to have, and Sangho cleverly taking out the SCV, building the Rax, but Nada's going to sit a second one on it straight away, and Nada getting gas as well. So Nada forced in a defensive position by Sangho, that SCV building the 3rd Rax getting taken out as well. Nada just trying to micro those Marines. Good job of microing those Marines by Nada so far. He's only lost 1 Marine, and up until that point he has not either. He managed to kill one of those Zealots off, so Sangho retreating with those Zealots. He's going to have to block off his choke or something. It's going to be very difficult for Sangho to defend this. He is putting that forge down. The question is whether he's going to be able to get enough gateways out. Nada needs to push now before that forge comes up and those cannons can come into play for Sangho. So So Nada now pushing up. He's seen what Sango's up to. Sango's now starting up his first photon cannon, and I'm not sure if Nada has enough to break a defense of a couple of Zealots plus the photon cannon. He's really committed to this attack here, and Nada might be in trouble here. Sango with the second photon cannon going up as well, and I'm just not sure if Nada has enough to actually be able to break this. Sango's pulled a lot of probes from his main line to go for his secondary as well, to go into his natural. And Nada pushing forward. Sango's got about 4 or 5 Zealots there, so Sango has got more than enough in way of Zealots, and I think he's going to be able to defend this. So Sango has maneuvered himself into a pretty strong position here, pushing Nada on the back foot, and I think Nada's going to have a difficult time coming out with a win here. He's going to have to really pull in some extraordinary micro to be able to pull ahead. Sango has effectively sealed himself into his main with his natural expo. Nada now trying to block his own, block that scout from the pro. So the pro's going to circle around, and Nada actually circling around now towards Sango's base from the ramp, trying to approach his natural expo from a wider angle, and he's going to actually pick off one of those Zealots. So great play by Nada, managing to pick off one of the Zealots. Sango a little bit slow in responding there, and he's investing a lot of resources in those photon cannons. He's already got 2 up. He's putting another 2 up behind that gateway, afraid of Nada pushing forward with Medic and Marines. And Sango managed to get the scout. It's a good play by Sango, getting the scout into Nada's base. Nada not bothering to try and finish that probe off. He's got a decent group of Medic and Marines. It'll be interesting to see whether Nada can get in range and maybe pick at 1 or 2 of the cannons without getting in range on all of them. If he can maybe pick off a couple more Zealots, draw them out. Sango really pumping the photon cannons. He's now started a photon cannon. He's already got 3 up. He's got 4 more building. So very interesting strategy from Sango, and I have to say a little bit amateurish. I remember back when I first started playing StarCraft, my strategy was to put a lot of photon cannons down and tech behind and get carriers, and it looks like that's what Sango is doing with about 10 photon cannons and now a shield battery going down as well. Ridiculous strategy, I have to say. Interesting enough, Nada's looks like he's got his Marines upgraded because he's actually within range of the gateway and none of the cannons can hit him. So good play by Nada. Citadel of Iron now going up for Sango. Nada though has got that academy up and he should be able to put a comms set up, so he's not going to be too worried. Nada now building a proxy factory. This is good play by Nada, building a proxy factory. So he has effectively, and he's now managed to take that shield battery down as well. So great play by Nada. He's actually managed to take the shield battery down. He's now pounding away at that gate, and he's going to be able to take that down as well. He's now building a machine shop, and it looks like he's just basically boxed Sango in. It looks like he's going to push right from there with the benefit of those Medic and Marines. He's going to try and siege Sango's natural expo. So great response by Nada, and he's actually boxed Sango completely into his base. Sango, I think if he'd gone maybe for a robotics facility, would have had a better chance at taking this out. I can't see the science or the logic in going for a Templar Archives. Sango now trying to push out with those Zealots. He's going to lose a couple of the Zealots to those Medic and Marines. Those Zealots obviously not speed upgraded yet, even though he's got the Citadel of Iron up, and so Sango losing another couple of Zealots carefully. He's putting a lot of gateways in his main, but I think he spent too many resources on those photon cannons. I didn't think he needed as many photon cannons as he thought he did, and really quite orderly looking play from Sango there. Nada really bunkering down, and Nada very cleverly building an engineering turret, and this is just what I was going to remark on. He already has the academy for comsat scans, but since he's only got the 1 command center, I think it's a wise move by Nada to build those turrets in anticipation of either shuttle Zealot bombs coming in from his opponent or for DTs, and that's great anticipation by Nada. Just looking into Nada's first person view here, it didn't look like he had the scout on Sango's main, so therefore he wouldn't have seen the Templar Archives. Nevertheless, great anticipation by Nada, and Templar are building for Sango, but I think Nada's going to have those engineering turrets in time, so those Templar are going to be useless, and really I think Nada might actually be able to pull out with a win here, and quite extraordinary play by the old Terran veteran, by the old soldier, and he's now got the siege tank up. He's going to be researching this, and I don't think Sango's got anything. He's just spent so much on photon cannons. I don't think he's going to have enough to actually be able to do any damage to Nada's army. He's got 4 gateways now, so he's going to start producing units from there soon, but Nada's got a much larger force built up already. Sango, despite the advantage of those resources, and if Nada can take those, and Sango pumping now Dark Templar, and those Dark Templar are just going to be cannon fodder. One of the Dark Templar actually managing to sneak through. Sango managed to sneak through with one of the Dark Templar against Nada, but I think Nada's going to have enough in his base to defend. He's now seen the Dark Templar as well, so I didn't see that Dark Templar come out, that early Dark Templar, and Nada immediately building a turret in his main, and he's probably going to need to keep a few units there. So the question is whether Nada can get that turret up. I don't know if he's got a comsat up, and now Nada is sieging Sango's base. He's taken out a couple of the photon cannons already. Pretty soon he'll be in range of that Nexus. Sango coming forward with the Zealots and Dark Templar, Nada with the comsat scan, and Sango just trying to lure Nada away with those Dark Templar and Zealots, and now Sango just trying to keep Nada from getting that expansion. I don't think Nada even needs that expansion at this stage. I think he's going to win this game with his main alone, and quite extraordinary play, but I have to say perplexing play by Sango. His strategy was poor, and he's losing more he's bleeding photon cannons by the second here, and Nada just trying to block that gateway, and this time he's going to get the comsat scan off. He's going to try and take the Dark Templar off. The Dark Templar gets taken out, so Sango effectively, he managed to sneak one Dark Templar out of Nada's blockade, but now he's lost that Dark Templar, and Nada has free reign of the map. He's got complete control of the map. he's going to be able to take his natural expo, and I really don't think, and now Sango is producing High Templar as well, but I don't think those High Templar are going to get energy up in time. Sango coming in, this is his last attempt. He's committing everything he's got. He's managed to kill off one of the tanks, but I don't think Nada's going to mind that, because now because those photon cannons are gone, and now Nada's just going to rush in with all of his force, and he's going to wipe out this place. He needs to take out those probes. He needs to focus on his probes, and Nada, oh my god, probe massacre, genocide of the probes, beautiful to watch, sexy probe kill, storm coming out from Sango, too little too late, my friend. Probe massacre by Nada, brilliance, absolute brilliance. He just dumped all those probes in a vat of acid, and they hissed and sizzled as they burned. And I enjoy that a lot, I have to say, because I thought Sango's play was cowardly and boring and unoriginal and quite ordinary to boot. So he's lost his natural expo, and I have to say it's been an entertaining match despite it all. And with this again storm going off from Sango, managed to kill a decent number of Nada's medical marines. He's also managed to take the tank out. Another storm goes off, but I think by this stage he's too far behind. Those High Templar, he left those High Templar too late. I think if he had actually gone for High Templar as opposed to Dark Templar first, he would have had a better chance. I think High Templar combined with Zealots would have been able to break Nada's defenses. And I think it was just a ridiculously idiotic maneuver by Sango to go for the Dark Templar to start with, considering he knew Nada had an academy up, so Nada had to have comp sets at the very least. The turret's obviously a great bonus for Nada, and Nada now bunkering in outside of Sango's main. And the other alternative, obviously, instead of the Templar, would have been if he had gone for Reavers. At least then he would have been able to do some damage to those Medican Marines, but perhaps not so effective against the pushing siege tanks. So Nada looks like he's going to go through to the losers final, game 5, and where he will undoubtedly face Kanata. So we're going to have a Terran versus Terran match. Let's hope it doesn't turn into a long, boring carrier versus carrier game between those two players, since I'm going to be commentating on it. But nevertheless, stunning play by Nada thus far, and I have to say he's responded well to the situation despite his sloppy exit. And this is the problem with Nada; he can play quite brilliant on occasion when under pressure. And Sango now, this is really his last effort. But Nada's got bunkers up to counter those storms, and even though he's going to lose a couple of the siege tanks, it's only going to slow him down. And it looks like he's going to lose that last siege tank as well. And Sango with the lone zealot, and that's going to get killed off by that siege tank. So Nada is just going to re-establish his siege on Sango's base, and Sango just fighting desperately, trying to survive. Obviously, if he loses this match, he's out of the competition, but he's going to be running out of minerals soon. I don't see Nada having started up a command center anywhere else. I guess he feels he doesn't need to, and he wants to obviously focus most of his resources. He's already lost a couple of his turrets, but Sango's not producing Dark Templar anymore, and neither does he have any shuttle. So it looks like Sango's going to lose one of those gateways here. Nada just continuing to blockade his opponent in. Perfect turn play by Nada, and Sango this time coming in with a lot of zealots. Nada's got 3 bunkers up, so those storms aren't going to bother him too much. But it's going to be the zealots now pounding away at the bunker. He's lost most of those zealots, and really quite an impotent attack there from Sango. And looks like his StarCraft play, like his looks, are both impotent. So GG guys, as far as I'm concerned. Sango wiped out, and Nada has actually taken his national expo. It would look like, yeah, he has. They hadn't switched to it for a little while, and I couldn't really tell from the map, but it looks like he has taken his natural expo. So Nada affirming his hold on the game, just bunkering up, and this is ridiculous. I haven't seen a game like this in a long time. And I guess we've got to thank Sango with his idiotic nature for giving it to us, and Nada with his innovation and adaptation. And really, I mean, watching Nada play like this, watching him adapt so brilliantly to a difficult situation and producing the goods and producing a great game, it's disappointing when he goes out in the first 10 minutes or the first 5 or 6 minutes of a matchup to an opponent just through sheer bad play. I really hope he puts Kanata out of the tournament and progresses through, because I think it would be really nice to have Nada in the MSL round of 16 this season, because I think Nada is well capable of causing some upsets. Certainly he wouldn't be considered to be a front runner against any of the current establishment of dominating players, but I think on his day Nada can defeat any and every one of them, including probably even not probably but possibly Jaedong. So Sango just refusing to surrender, refusing to give up despite having been thoroughly wasted by Nada, concentrating with the storms, obviously not as effective since Nada has decided to use bunkers to counter them, and just a matter of Nada mopping up Sango now, and Sango GGing. So now Nada going in with a group of American Marines that he's managed to build up, and now with the economic advantage as well as the superior force on the ground, polishing off his opponent, and finding Sango's hidden cache of units just in the northern corner of his main. that Archon going down. That's the last of Sango's units, and now he's going to use the gateway as well as the Temple Archives. And I think it's high time he GG'd. This is just... He really is inviting further humiliation here, and Sango does GG. Nada wins comfortably in the end. Well played. That was a good game. Though a weird game, but good game nonetheless. This is Clazart, guys. Thanks for listening.